Okay, here's a thought. What if the biggest tech boom we've ever seen is also the very thing that triggers the next Great Depression? It sounds nuts, right? But today, we're going to deconstruct this fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty unsettling theory. The idea that AI's success could be exactly what breaks our economy. And this question right here, it just cuts straight to the core of this whole paradox. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What if the tech we're all betting on to create unbelievable wealth is actually the perfect engine for its own destruction? That is the wild idea we're digging into.
All right, so how on earth do you get from a massive tech boom to a total bust? Well, this whole theory rests on one really powerful engine. Before we can even start talking about the dominoes, we gotta understand what's giving them that first big push. And spoiler, it's not just the AI. It's something much more fundamental, a powerful self-reinforcing feedback loop.
Okay, quick but super important point here. The source material actually calls this a negative feedback loop, and you hear that a lot, but it's technically not right. A negative feedback loop is something that stabilizes a system, right? Think of your thermostat, it keeps the temperature steady. What we're dealing with here is a positive feedback loop, and that's the scary kind. It's where the output just keeps amplifying the input, creating this runaway exponential effect. You know, like that horrible squealing sound when a microphone gets too close to a speaker? That's the key difference. This thing has no off switch, no natural break.
So what does this loop actually look like in the real world? It's a pretty simple but powerful four-step cycle that just feeds itself. Step 1, AI capability improves. It gets smarter. Step 2, companies, because they have to compete, use this new smarter AI to cut costs, and that means cutting jobs, mostly white-collar ones. Step 3, all those savings, they get reinvested straight back into, you got it, more AI development, which, of course, leads to Step 4. The AI gets even better. And boom, you're right back at the beginning of the loop. Every single time this cycle completes, it spins faster and with more force.
Okay, so we've got our engine. Now let's look at the first domino that has to fall. And it's a big one. Unstoppable AI growth. This is the fuel for the whole fire. For any of this to even be possible, AI can't just get a little better. Its capabilities have to keep growing at this insane, exponential pace and not hit a wall anytime soon.
And that's really the fundamental question, isn't it? Is this crazy pace of improvement actually sustainable? Or are we about to see things level off? The entire chain of dominoes we're about to lay out, it all hinges on the answer being, oh yeah, it's sustainable, at least for the foreseeable future. So for this first domino to topple, you really have to buy into three huge assumptions. First, that the scaling laws we've seen so far keep holding up. Basically, that more data and more compute will keep making AI smarter. Second, that we don't hit any physical walls, like running out of energy, data centers, or chips. And third, that the current way we build AI doesn't just have some hidden theoretical limit. Now, there is some pretty compelling evidence pointing this way. Recent benchmarks on AI agents show their ability to handle tasks on their own is growing exponentially. We're talking going from lasting a few minutes to lasting for hours. That suggests we are absolutely still on the vertical part of the growth curve.
All right, so let's assume AI's power just keeps skyrocketing. That leads us straight to the second domino, companies actually doing something about it. See, it's not enough for the tech to just be there. For this theory to work, companies have to start deploying it to replace people, and they have to do it fast. But will they? I mean, let's be real. Big companies are usually slow. They're like giant ships that are hard to turn. They've got bureaucracy, old systems, all that stuff. So the real question is, what makes this time any different? Are they really going to overcome all that inertia and start cutting jobs at a speed we have literally never seen in history? Well, the argument that they will is that it stops being a choice. It becomes a classic prisoner's dilemma. Put yourself in a CEO's shoes for a second. Your biggest rival just put out a press release saying they're using AI to slash 15% of their workforce, and their margins are looking great. What do? Your board is breathing down your neck asking why your costs are so high. In that kind of environment, doing nothing is the biggest risk of all, and that's the scary part. Every company making what seems like a rational individual decision could altogether trigger a complete catastrophe for the job market.
And that pushes over the third domino, and this one is probably the most controversial of them all. For centuries, whenever technology killed jobs, we had this comforting answer: creative destruction. Yeah, old jobs go away, but new, even better jobs pop up to replace them. It's always worked that way. This domino only falls if, for the first time in modern history, that pattern breaks.
This comparison just lays it out so perfectly. Think about the ATM.
It automated a bunch of tasks for bank tellers, right? But what happened? The bank saved money, so they opened more branches, and the tellers' jobs shifted to sales and service. The net result was actually more jobs for tellers. But the theory here is that AI is a totally different beast. Okay, so AI replaces a software developer. But what about the new jobs it creates? Things like AI model oversight or whatever. Well, the AI can probably do that job too. And if the machine can do the new job it just created, where exactly are the humans supposed to go? So let's say the new jobs just don't show up. You get a massive spike in white-collar unemployment. This is when the fourth domino starts to wobble. And this is the point where the crisis escapes the job market and starts to bleed into the entire financial system, from Main Street to Wall Street. So why is this so incredibly dangerous? It's because the American economy is built on one thing: people spending money. And that spending is massively lopsided. Get this, the top 20% of earners are responsible for about 65% of all consumer spending. And who are these people? They're the engineers, the managers, the consultants, the lawyers, exactly the jobs we're talking about being at risk. So a big wave of unemployment hitting this specific group doesn't just hurt them. It rips the foundation out from under the entire consumer economy. And this fictional headline just makes that risk feel way too real. Just imagine this scenario for a second. AI gets so good at customer service that a company like Zendesk suddenly finds its entire business model is obsolete. Their revenue collapses, the private credit loans that funded their growth, they default. And just like that, a problem that started with software has turned into a full-blown credit crisis. You can see the path of contagion laid out so clearly. It starts with white-collar workers losing their income, so they stop spending. Next, you start seeing mortgage defaults, but not in the usual places. We're talking about prime mortgages in affluent neighborhoods suddenly going bad. From there, the fire spreads to the private credit market, the folks who lent all that money to these tech companies. And the final step? The crisis lands squarely on the balance sheets of the insurance companies and pension funds that bought up all that private debt, creating a domino effect that could threaten the entire system. Okay, this brings us to it, the fifth and final domino that has to fall for this to become a truly catastrophic crisis. This is the moment the disruption jumps out of the digital world of code and spreadsheets and into the physical world. We're talking trucks, warehouses, construction sites, the world of atoms. Now, why is this so critical? Well, think about it. If robotics development stays way behind AI software, then the physical economy acts like a safety net. A laid-off programmer or marketing manager could, in theory, go drive for Uber or retrain as a technician. But for this crisis scenario to hit maximum velocity, that safety net has to be ripped away. You need AI-powered robots to be taking blue-collar jobs just as fast as software is taking white-collar ones. And let's be clear, right now, this is the biggest bottleneck in the entire theory. AI is absolutely crushing digital tasks, but robotics, especially in messy, unpredictable places like a construction site or a nursing home, that's still incredibly hard. Sure, we have self-driving cars in a few cities and humanoid robots that look cool in demos, but we're a long way from mass deployment. So for this final domino to fall, robotics needs to catch up to its big brother and software, and it needs to do it fast. So there it is, a 5-domino cascade. All of it powered by a self-reinforcing loop that has no brakes. It starts with AI getting exponentially better, and it ends in a potential systemic financial meltdown. Now, each step is plausible on its own, but every single one of them has to fall in just the right way for the next one to be triggered. And that leaves us with one last, pretty chilling question. If this whole chain reaction actually happens, if all 5 dominoes fall, what's domino number 6?